Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani, and we're coming to you from, as you can see in the background, Palm Beach, Florida, just a mile or so from Mar-a-Lago. We say it low because Secret Service doesn't want to. The idea is if you're going to bomb something, bomb us, all right? Freaking Iranians. Oh, yeah, right. They didn't threaten the president. They were going to kill him. We forgot that now. Well, as a former member of the completely iconic Reagan administration, I have to say I was very proud today to see what my great president and my great friend and your great friend, Donald J. Trump did. Boy, he keeps this. I mean, he must have I'm going to ask him this. I'm going to get you an answer. I don't tell you often whatever I talk to him about, except if it's funny or, not. But this would be interesting. I want to know if he has a list, promises kept, and then check them off. Because it's too good. I mean, he's right on the money. I'm going to do away with the Department of Education to the extent that I can. He did away with it to the extent that he can, and now it's up to Congress to do away with the rest of it. But the rest of it is, I think they'll have to have about 10 employees to look at the mail, right? Right. Yeah, and make sure they've done away with all the subscriptions. The major thing that Musk now has to contract the Department of Education to make sure all the subscriptions have been denied, canceled. Because when I moved, I had all kinds of subscriptions. Let's listen to this historic event as the president does away with a straight out and out bribe of Jimmy Carter by the communist created teachers union to create a useless department of government that existed for, oh my God, 80s, 90s, 100s, 10 for 4.5 decades of unusual, ridiculous expense. Worst of all, from the day it started until the day it ended, American public education, by and large, particularly in major city, has been destroyed. And we've become one of the weaker education nations in the developed world, all due to the efforts of a naive Jimmy Carter and a very, very determined group of educators, all of whom were either acting communists and Marxists or influenced by the Marxist desire to ruin our educational system. And this is a great day. Let's watch this.
Let's use that same pen. Okay.
Congratulations, Mr. President. Now it will be the job of Linda McMahon to take it apart in a useful way so that whatever needs to be turned over to the states that they can do and that they want to do will be done. It will. I mean, many people who have argued against it, who are people of goodwill. I mean, not the communists who created it, who did it for the sole purpose of ruining our educational system, and tragically pretty much succeeded. So this book here, there's been many books written on the Marxification, not a word, but the attempt to bring in Marxism to our educational system. So I'm not telling you anything new here. We were warned of it when it happened, by the way. Ronald Reagan knew it was real right from the very beginning and wanted to do away with it. And really what happened to Ronald Reagan, and look, this will probably happen to President Trump too. Maybe not. We hope it doesn't, right? You get caught up in so many priorities, you have to sacrifice one for the other. I generally say President Reagan had a lot of priorities. He had three major ones, right? The first one was to end atheistic, homicidal Soviet communism. Number two was to make the economy, not his words, Trump's, but make the economy great again. And the third was to bring down the debt. Well, he couldn't do the first two and the third. The first one, defeating communism, meant spending them, as Gorbachev once said, spending them into oblivion. Now, spending them into oblivion saved millions and millions and millions of lives. Not only that, it liberated millions of people. Not many presidents get to be liberators. Lincoln, Roosevelt, kind of Washington before he was a president. So Reagan takes his place in the pantheon of presidents. Forget liberal, conservative, all that stuff we fight about. Whether you're a liberal like Franklin Roosevelt, or a conservative like Abraham Lincoln, or a conservative like Ronald Reagan, you're a liberator, right? I mean, so for example, I admire very much John F. Kennedy, and we're going to talk about that later. He wasn't really a liberator, was he? Nor was, let's take another fairly good president that we like, Bush. Bush, well, to some extent, Bush won in Kuwait. And you could say Bush too if Iraq hadn't gone so bad, right? But you can't. So, I mean, if Poland were now communist after it had been free, then you could say, okay. But you look at all that Eastern Europe, which is, by the way, is where we should be concentrating, and not on fancy schmancy, very old Western Europe. Western Europe is very, very old. It's very tired. It's very Marxist. It's very woke. It's very useless to us, and it drags us down. Eastern Europe is our partner for the future, with the exception of the Western European countries who want to straighten out. I put in that category Italy for sure, because they already have their prime minister, who's going to be their Margaret Thatcher, their Ronald Reagan, and their Donald J. Trump. Germany surely doesn't, because it elected a right winger, and it got a right winger who didn't go with the right wing, he went with the left wing. You know what that sounds like. So let's see where the rest of the world goes. That's part of his challenge, nationwide, worldwide, to craft, I will call it a fighting alliance, because we just may have to fight China. And the better able we are to fight China, the least likely to fight China. By that I mean, we are a powerful deterrent to China as it stands right now. China against the United States, even if we assume it has its allies, would right now be a war we'd rather not have. It's a war that some people think we can't win. They don't know us. But a China faced with an alliance like that, not an alliance like NATO, which is like this. Like that. Like the fist, the Trump fist, right? Not this. He didn't come up like this. Right? Come up like that. Well, I'll give you a couple countries that'll make it like that. Get rid of them all right away. Let's start all over. Well, how about we start with number one military ally, just in case we got to invade a country or whatever. How about Israel? You want to fight against Israel? How about we send the Israelis over and defend Taiwan? What do you think? You think China would invade? Do you think if there were 500,000, if Israel's nice and safe and they put 500,000 troops for a while in Taiwan, you think the Chinese would invade? If America backed them up with a combination of our military in there, how about an Iron Dome for Taiwan? Nice big Iron Dome for Taiwan, so that the Chinese missiles go back and hit China. Well, so we start off with Israel. I pick Israel because they're the most battle-tested. And we are battle-tested. Chinese aren't. They haven't fought in a long time. a long, long time. Maybe they snuck into this Korean War. They tried to sneak into Vietnam. Then we go with Japan as number 2. Japan's in the neighborhood. Japan is a ferocious fighting country. It is moving toward militarization. And then, as I talked to Kara, who's at the White House and ready to tell us what went on today, including that great ceremony we looked at a picture of, you start thinking about the other one. I've already said Italy, but you start thinking of the others that would be the kind of allies that would make China shake in its boots. All right, Kara, how are you? Hello, Kara. Well, I tell you what, instead of that, we'll wait a minute. Oh, there she is. There you are, Kara.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, how are you tonight?
Oh, I like that little sign behind you. What is that? You got
It's
that
the White
behind
House
you.
sign. It's
Yeah, I know.
the
I
White
used to,
House. Of course, we're here in the
yeah, I used
briefing
to,
room, and
last year at
hold on, let
this
me
time, I
fix my
used to get
earpiece.
creeps when I saw that. Last year at this
Yes,
time, I used
I
to
know.
get
So did
creeps when
I.
I saw it. Now I feel good. So
I
tell
did
us what
too.
happened today. I saw the ceremony kicking out the Department of Education and trying to whittle
It
it
was
down
great. I was
to
actually, yeah, I was in
get.
the front row. I got to see the whole thing. It was pretty amazing, actually. I thought it was so cute that he had all this there, also signing they were all signing in their folders as he was, and it was really adorable, I thought. And I really am very proud of the president, actually. And I try to be not biased, but I am, because this is something that he promised to do. And I think as much as people say they don't support it, even Democrats, everybody knows that, the Board of Education has really failed in America. Kids are getting, less intelligent. This is all proven by
Ah,
statistics. It's gotten really bad, and really a lot of Democrat-run cities, and they're the ones who are opposing this, which is very interesting because their test scores are some of the lowest. So why wouldn't they be welcoming a change? You can't get worse than what we have now. So I would think that a lot of Democrats, again, that are running these cities where the education is so poor, would think to themselves, wow, this could actually help our children. This is a good thing. We have to fix something that's very broken. And I think a lot of people are secretly cheering this on, even though they're not really admitting it.
I agree with you. And in those cities where the Democrats oppose it, I wonder how the parents feel, because in those cities, particularly in the poorer neighborhoods, all the parents support vouchers, choice, charter schools, anything but public schools, and all the sold out politicians support the Communist Teachers Union, and not that. So, I mean, it's a
Yeah, of
strange thing.
course.
You have 70 to 80% of Black and Hispanic parents supporting choice. You have 90% of Democratic politicians they vote for supporting no choice. And we don't
Well,
make
the
the point.
reason for that, we know what the reason for that is. It's because they want to indoctrinate children. It's like socialism and Marxism, where everybody learns the same thing. Kids in Queens, obviously, as you know, in New York City, are different than kids from, say, Colorado or, in Wyoming, in Jackson, Wyoming. They need to be learning different things, cater to their communities, what their parents want them to learn, what the local municipalities, everybody's just so different. So I think that really it is because the Department of Education really just wants to teach everyone the same thing and continue to indoctrinate rather than have kids that actually think for themselves. And actually today, Secretary Linda McMahon was outside taking questions, and I got to ask her a question about Randy Weingarten's lawsuit, because she was out there today screaming, "I'll see you in court," to Donald Trump and
Oh,
this
Randy was out there
administration.
screaming. My old friend
Yeah,
Randy.
she's not happy. No.
I negotiated her with her for 6 years and gave her, the Italian word "ugats." I
Yes.
gave her "ugats."
Is she a nice person in real life? I'm curious.
Yeah, yes, very nice. She's very nice. How are you? It's very nice to meet you. Yeah, she's very nice.
That's a great impression. Yeah.
6 years. She got nothing from me. She got an 18% raise from Bloomberg. That was a disaster.
Well, it's,
For 6 years,
I think
Bloomberg
people,
stood, he stood
go ahead,
the
Mr. Mayor.
test, and then he blew it. And since then, education's gone this way. It's gone down about three times where it was when I was mayor, and the expenditures have gone up 2.5 times.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people forget too. People hear teachers union and they think that these teachers are, or these unions are actually fighting for the children's education. But obviously their mission is to make sure that the teachers have jobs, have high salaries. They're fighting for the teachers. And actually a lot of people say it's at the expense of the students. The students' education is not their top priority. It's that the teachers get paid high salaries and that they don't get fired, even when they're not doing good jobs. So people forget that. And I believe, and I don't know if, I hope I'm not misquoting Randy Weingarten, but she said she'll start caring about students when they start paying union dues. So this isn't a great person here. And I think that it's really kind of selfish on behalf of the teachers union to really just get in the way of making America smart again, educating students
Yeah.
properly, giving them school choice, sending education back to the states and back to back to people who really, I think, care about the education of the children. And that's always local. I think big government is not a good thing when it comes to education.
Well, I think that's absolutely correct, Kara, and thank you for covering it for us. You did a great job. Just to ask you one more question. The president has sent another request letter, whatever, to the Ayatollah asking to negotiate, and basically said, if not, all bets are off. So, isn't it? It's inevitable that we're going to have to attack them, I think.
I'm praying that we don't, because nobody likes, any type of conflict like this. But, I guess we're all waiting to hear what the response to that letter is.
Yeah. Let's see. Whoops. Well, something went wrong. Must be that Ayatollah.
Yeah, I know.
The
They're
Ayatollah
listening
cut you
in.
off. I mean,
There's a bad connection. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but
no,
I'm
it's the
thinking that
Ayatollah. 2 weeks ago, when I was in Washington addressing the Iranian dissident group, we broadcast directly into Iran. And we reached about, I think, 2/3 of Iran, and we've gotten a tremendous amount of feedback from the people in Iran. So he must have found that out, and now he's coming after us.
Yeah,
Because
I definitely think so, because we're getting a lot of
there you go, that Ayatollah. We got to get rid of him. All right. That's the Ayatollah. I'm sure of it. No, I'm not. I'm going to take a short break while everything gets straightened out. And as usual, Kara was terrific tonight. Ed, let me get a little less white. Oh, I need some water. I swallowed something. I don't know what
You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders. So you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic,
non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
With caricature over from the White House about the only a short while ago that the president did the press conference getting rid of the Department of Education. You should know that it was established. I mean, you do know it was established in 78 or so, or 79. It was a deal between the communist well, when I say communist infiltrated, I'll explain this in great detail to you in a special. I want to show you the history of the teachers union, because it is a direct part of the deterioration of the education of our children. But the teachers union was originally founded by communists, and then there was a tremendous amount of communist infiltration, and then there was the McCarthy thing which they hid behind, and then eventually one of the branches, the one in New York, split away from the communists, and Miss Tiddlywinks here, who was out in front of the White House, has clearly re-embraced it. From the time that I met her and I negotiated her for 6 years, I would say to myself, this is a woman who memorized Das Kapital, or the Communist Manifesto, rather. And now she acts like it. And I would say when you see her, she is the single person most responsible for the deterioration of the children who lost ground during the pandemic, because she is the single reason why the Democrats hung on to 1 year more of kids out of school, for the benefit of the teachers union, having nothing to do with the children. Well, the president, one has to say, the president it looks like the president is involved in, the president versus the courts or the judges or whatever, particularly with John Roberts' completely inappropriate comment that you shouldn't talk about judges being impeached. I don't know. What is he now telling us what we can say or not say about the Constitution? Does John Roberts not read Article 2 of the Constitution? Is he not aware of the fact that 15 federal judges have been impeached and 8 removed? That's more than 50%. Somehow that's been taken out, John. No longer? Oh, I see. You can't impeach them for their rulings. Well, suppose their rulings are grossly illegal, completely unconstitutional. How about their rulings distort in an almost irreparable way the balance of power between the 3 branches of government? Suppose the ruling asserts power they don't have. Well, what are you talking about? You can't remove them for their rulings. You get it reversed? If their ruling is grossly illegal, recklessly illegal, dangerous, if their ruling could result in the return of people who are going to rape and murder, and if their ruling is beyond their jurisdiction, like this judge, why don't you stay out of it, John? You sure as hell stayed out of the election dispute. You're not going to tell me that you didn't send some kind of message down to the judges to dismiss all the cases. They were going out on the most ridiculous grounds I ever heard. Lack of standing? The states have a lack of standing to sue another state? No hearings on a TRO? I mean, you might as well have been honest about it and just written a political question opinion. At least that it would have some kind of intellectually honest basis to it. That it was the view of the court that this was too much of a political question left to the political branches of the government. A very distinguished old American theory, now never used. Instead, you do like 3-card Monte. doesn't help the reputation of the court, John, to do that. And interfering like this doesn't. You should keep your mouth shut. We're not really interested in your non-judicial views. We're interested in your holdings, and we're interested in your dicta, and you're a great judge in many ways. But you have a cowardly streak running through you. Or maybe you have a I want to be popular among the Washington people streak. Or maybe I'm being unfair to you. Maybe it's your view of how you're going to protect the reputation of the court. You're going to keep them out of the most controversial issues. But isn't it really the reputation of the court where the ruling is quite obvious to be involved in the most controversial issues, even if they hate you? Doesn't that ultimately, in the long run, mean that we have a government of laws and not men? We'll see what you do. We'll see what you do on these firing cases. There's no constitutional basis for restricting the president's ability to fire anyone in the executive branch of government, whether Congress says there is or not. The people who are smarter than you were, I know you don't think there are too many of those, but Madison and Hamilton and people like that, you've heard of them, right? They really debated this very, very carefully, and they said, yep, the Senate, meaning Congress, can have a say in the appointment of judges, but not in the appointment of executive personnel. That's not too much of an interference in the executive branch. Consistent with reasonable oversight, but not in the removal. As far as removal is concerned, a president, like any executive, should be able to remove anyone he wants. After all, we should not be forcing a president to work with somebody he does not want to work with, since the executive branch belongs to him and him alone. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people think it was the very left wing and maybe even some communist influences in the Roosevelt administration that created the fourth branch of government, meaning all those regulatory agencies that we have. But it really was a Republican court that did it in response to Roosevelt and decided that they could put restrictions on the president's right to fire in certain circumstances. A terrible opinion, and then built on mightily by, they saw a hole, and the left-wing communists walked right through it and created a whole branch of government now that is, I don't know what it is. If it's part of the executive branch of government, it has to be under Article 2 of the there are 3 articles. 1, Congress, 2, President, 3, Judiciary. You got to be in one of those. You're not part of the federal government. If you're the military, you're in 2. If you deliver things to the floor of Congress, you're in number 1, right? If you're elected to Congress, you're in number 1. If you're appointed a judge in the Southern District of New York, you're in number 3. If you're a law clerk to a federal judge, you're in number 3. You're always someplace, right? If you work for, what was the regulatory agency you work for, Stephen?
The FCC, which is an independent, in quotes,
which
agency.
means you probably had an unconstitutional, you work for an unconstitutional agency. And
that's the thought.
Yeah, FTC has 5 board members, right?
FCC?
FTC.
Oh, FTC, yes.
Which were you?
So. I was FCC.
Oh, FCC, the Federal Communications Commission.
Chairman Carr now is doing an excellent
who we
job.
just saw the other day.
Yeah.
FCC. Now, remind me, the FCC is 5 commissioners.
Yep.
And they have to, don't they have to be 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats?
Yes, sir.
And then the president selects the tiebreaker.
The chairman, yeah.
The chairman.
Yep.
And the chairman can be either, depending on the press, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
but what was good with Carr,
you get a term. You get a term.
Yes.
How long?
8-year terms.
8-year terms, and
and you can be removed. Why?
I think it's only a formality that if the president, switches, it's tradition that they step down, and most of them do. But I believe that they could serve out the term. I think that was actually a problem with the Wheeler.
The president has the power to remove the commissioner. I'm reading through.
Either way,
let's pick an agency where the president cannot remove except for cause.
Like, what would you call it? Like the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, there's one. Okay. Now, that's not an agency of the government. It belongs to something, but not the government. because in order to be part of the executive, if you're part of the executive branch, the president has the power to remove you, and the Constitution has made that explicitly clear. There are some things that are interpretations from the Constitution. There are good ones and bad ones. Those, I think, you have to follow whatever the court says until the court changes it. But when the court grossly ignores the Constitution, and the Constitution does not give any Congress the power to have anything to do with removal, and not only that, the interpretive documents, the secondary documents, the debates and the Federalist Papers make it clear that that was a specific choice. The specific choice to give Senate the right to confer on appointment, but to keep them the hell out of dismissals. Well, now you created something that is not recognizable by our government. And it's been in existence for a very long time. And if you're telling me the president is disrupting constitutional government by challenging it, you're really an ignorant person. He's actually defending constitutional government. Unless you think you got to write the Constitution and not James Madison or Alexander Hamilton. And we've been doing pretty well following them, and not you, Jerko, whoever you are. So I do think that John Roberts, I think on that, because he's been very strong on separation of powers, I think we'll have Roberts vote. But I am very disappointed on this thing about not impeachment, because federal judges are liable for impeachment, and they should be. They're not kings. They should be given great respect, but no more respect than a senator or a president. In fact, they get a little extra for insulation. If a president doesn't have the right to throw murderers and other criminals out of the country because a radical left lunatic judge wants to assume the role of president, then our country is in very big trouble and destined to fail. Well, that's a rather moderate view by Donald J. Trump, as usual. We don't know what's on his mind. Isn't it good? I mean, I don't care if you agree with that or you disagree with that or you think it went too far. Isn't it good to know what's on a president's mind instead of I mean, all of them used to hide everything, right? I'm not even talking just about Dopey, who didn't have anything on his mind. I'm talking the ones who did have things on their mind but didn't tell you. That judge, Blasberg, has absolutely no right to interfere in the president's exercise of the power to conduct foreign policy. Because this is what he did there invokes numerous executive powers, not one. Yes, it involves the ability to patrol our borders and keep our borders safe, which is a presidential power, which he shares to some extent with the Congress, because Congress gets to pass laws about it. There is a law defining what he's doing here that he's following. The president does have a right to declare an emergency. And my goodness, if the illegal invasion of this country by more people than in 3 years, with more people that came in the 60 years of Ellis Island isn't an emergency, I don't know what is. If the number of crimes they commit isn't an emergency, 60% of the crime in Queens a few months ago was all illegal Biden aliens. Unless you are a unaware person, a stupid person, or just a trained Marxist, this is not an emergency. But you go live in one of those places overwhelmed by these animals, it is an emergency. And I'm sorry, I'm calling them animals. And I understand the difference between the prior. I'll give you 3 types of immigrants, okay? We can go way back. We go way back to the glory days of immigration, Ellis Island and the people coming in. I talked to someone the other day who came in Ellis Island in 1940 from Italy, and within 3 years went back to Italy fighting for the United States. Like Italians like that. But he came in, took his family a long time to come in. They tried to come in before when they saw Mussolini doing what he was doing, and then they finally came in. And despite all the issues, we weren't at war yet in 1940. They were able to get a visa and come in, and they came in through Ellis Island. Big family. They have since become rather successful over the years in the United States, very successful. And that's one group of immigrants that start back in the 19th century, right? There's a dispute as to how many have come in through Ellis Island. I believe the exact number is 12 million. But in the great song about Ellis Island, they say 17 million. So under Biden, we had about 20 million come in. And I will someday show you exactly, or I won't someday, maybe later, I'll show you exactly how. Because they miss about anywhere from 5 to 12 million who came in and we never saw them. There was just another one caught the other day. But in any event, the president certainly has a right to say it's an emergency. Even without that, he has a right to enforce the immigration laws, which gives him a great deal of discretion. And the courts have no place in it. None. Absolutely none. Here, the order was received after they were outside the jurisdiction of the United States, or outside the jurisdiction, maybe of the United States, but certainly outside the jurisdiction of this judge. He says they manipulated it that way. Well, I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know that they did manipulate it that way. I don't know that they don't have a right to manipulate it that way. If they get them out before the judge issues the order, that's not manipulation. It's sound judgment. I did that to get Joe Bonanno locked up. Nobody held me in contempt, and it's too late now to do it. You know, it was 40 years ago or 30 years ago. I knew the court was going to. I had gotten a rumor that the state court was going to issue an order preventing me from removing him because he was going to die of a heart attack. I had litigated that for 4 days in front of a federal judge, and the doctor who testified said Joe Bonanno was the healthiest guy in court. The judge sent him to prison for the first time in 25 years after claiming for 25 years that he had a heart condition. And the state court, which he was able to corrupt, as he was able to corrupt the hospital, they couldn't get the judge was too lazy to get up overnight. We were supposed to take him out at 9:00 in the morning. I called Howard Safer, later my fire commissioner and police commissioner. I said, Howard, get me a plane real quick. I want to send him to Leavenworth. Oh, yeah, that's a good place for the fat old bastard. Well, he wasn't really a fat old bastard. He was actually in rather good shape. Well, we sent him off, and the judge was all pissed off, but he was beyond the jurisdiction. And I didn't lie about it. They knew. I have a right to use my noggin to outsmart a judge, and a judge has a right to use his noggin to outsmart me. We're different branches of government, and we're serving different interests. It's not illegal. I know they want to serve me, and I got to wait there. I can't go to another jurisdiction. I don't know where that comes from. You better get me in the jurisdiction I'm in. I mean, maybe I'm missing something about the law. Judge, you're missing a lot about it because you're a left-wing, what did the president say, a lunatic? No, you're just a plaything. I don't even think you're a Marxist. You don't even know you're a Marxist. You have done some rulings that have gone the other way, Judge. You're a plaything. You shouldn't be handling cases like this, and never should have put you on the bench. I mean, to go out of your way to get involved to see if we can bring all these murderers back. What? So they can do a couple more rapes? This is Tron de Aragua, the gang denied by the Bidens, and MS-13. That was the group that originally, back in 2015, Trump said were animals because they chopped the girl's head off. We're fighting over them. We don't have other things to fight over. So I see this judge. We have a picture of this soft-hearted, the guy that's soft-hearted for murderers and rapists, and he's conducting an evidentiary investigation as to whether or not the Trump White House did some things to evade his process. I mean, he's sitting in a city with some of the most crime in America, most murders. He's got people getting beaten, raped, and this group happens to specialize in that. Trump did the whole country and the district government a favor by tossing them out, and this putz wants to get involved in it to make a point that actually, if he had a sound legal mind, he would realize it's completely wrong. But he doesn't have a sound legal mind. He was educated probably at one of those law schools that should be taken off the top law school list because they're influenced too much by Marxism. And Roberts is getting his diapers all screwed up over whether we impeach him or not, when the Constitution says you can impeach him. I mean, I don't know if this guy did enough to impeach. I do know it's worth talking about. And don't act like we're doing something wrong or terrible about talking about impeachment. We're following the Constitution, Judge, and you're trying to impose censorship by stopping us from talking about what's in the Constitution. Justice Roberts is becoming a censor. He's trying to intimidate us into having a conversation about a constitutional power that exists, that's been used in circumstances where rulings go too far. And President Trump, stand up to him. Don't take anything from him. Not a damn thing. Penalizing law firms. Well, you have a right to penalize law firms who act unlawfully. The federal government has a right to decide what law firms it wants to do business with. I got a whole bunch of others you could put on the list, Mr. President, that wouldn't allow their lawyers to represent anyone having to do with you. That threatened to fire people that might represent you. That brought cases for nothing for people who had cases that were purely political vendetta cases, and they expended millions and millions of dollars in these frivolous actions and actions designed for political repercussions. Oh, you've only touched the tip of the iceberg here with these law firms. I consider that a complete trashing of the United States Constitution and the right to counsel. They don't deserve to represent the federal government. They don't have any idea of what it means to represent the federal government. If you took on a lawsuit, the basis of which is to intimidate people from representing Trump or Trump supporters, you don't deserve to be a lawyer, much less the government and the government retaining you. And the government has a right to be comfortable with the people it retains. So if they want to get Perkins Coie, I have no idea why I'm disbarred and they're not. Perkins Coie was the launderer for the illegal payment of Hillary Clinton for the Steele phony dossier that led to an attempt to illegally remove a lawfully elected president on false evidence. They laundered the $1.1 million. The whole damn law firm should be in a RICO case, much less just. I can give you a bunch of others, and when the president names them, I'll be happy to tell you all about them. I have a feeling there are a bunch more coming. And maybe the reason for it is stop it. Stop it. Don't get involved in trying to, law firms that don't exist in order to intimidate people so they won't retain counsel. In fact, a law firm that does that is a law firm that says it shouldn't exist anymore because it doesn't understand American law. The pardons? Well, okay, signed by a machine, right? Probably okay. Very reckless. Kind of gives you a suggestion that the president wasn't thinking very much about these pardons, right? It's supposed to be, and that looks like kind of the way they did all the phony ballots too. I'd love to compare the ballots to these signatures. The 300,000 or 400,000 phony ballots in Atlanta, and who knows how many in Pennsylvania. And this is what we maintained was going on. We weren't allowed to ever look at the ballots. None of the vaunted federal judges or other judges that John Roberts wants to protect ever allowed us to look at a single ballot. Democrats went out of their way to the point of erecting barriers for cows in order to stop us from seeing these. You think I'm stupid enough to think they weren't phonied up? Now they do it for pardons? In other words, he did the pardons the way he won the election. But here's the real question that the president has raised, which is, I think, an even stronger one. Since he was mentally incompetent for some time now, did he even know he was doing it? And if he didn't know he was doing it, is it done? A pardon. If we go back, I read a lot about the constitutional history of a pardon. Our pardon power, to a very large extent, is just a insertion of the king's pardon power. And for the king to pardon, the king had to know in a general way what you did wrong, which is why these preemptive pardons are probably unconstitutional. Don't know if the court would have the guts to declare them unconstitutional based on constitutional history. It would take a very gutsy originalist court to do that. But really a court that would end up making pardons common sense. I mean, nobody should be able to pardon you for things they don't know about. Like, I pardon you for income tax evasion. Okay. And then you killed 3 women and I didn't know about it. You pardon for that too, because I said you pardon for everything between, 2015 and now. I pardon you for everything between 2015 and now because you have income tax evasion in 2016. So I'm pardoning you for income tax evasion. So nobody's going to get their nose out of joint on a pardon for income tax evasion. But they are going to get their nose out of joint if the pardon adds language that only has happened twice, by the way. Once for Nixon and once for the Biden illegal pardons. And it says for any crimes committed during that period. You can't do that. And all those pardons should be null and void. They also should be null and void if we can prove that he didn't know what he was doing. And there should be a hearing to that effect. I mean, the special prosecutor said he wasn't capable of participating in his own defense. That's a pretty big standard. If you can't participate in your own defense, you can't pardon. Tough luck. Pardons don't work. Let's prosecute them. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory, or it's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with you with the Rudy Giuliani Show on Lindell TV and Eggs. Well, we had a couple of, we talked about the president versus the courts, which I think is a vindication of our Constitution. the voiding of pardons that the courts will have to take a look at, the penalizing of law firms, which I may or may not be looked at. Certainly, this issue with Chief Justice Blasberg. Oh, I'm sorry, District Judge Blasberg. He thinks he's a chief judge. And then, of course, we're going to have the eliminating birthright citizenship. That's going to be a tough one. There is a good argument for it, but they don't want it. They don't want to hear it. And that is whether the parents had a legal right to be here, largely because they add under the jurisdiction of the United States, and by that they meant something beyond the criminal jurisdiction. They meant under the laws of the United States. So these people weren't existing under the laws of the United States, although they could be prosecuted. So that they used that as the argument. That isn't what the framers of the amendment meant, but it's a close argument, and it's been birthright citizenship for so long. It would take a truly courageous court to come out that way. Although it would be an intellectually honest decision. I'm not counting on it. I am counting on all the third, fourth branches of government being chopped off, gone, chopped off. They're either executive or they don't exist anymore. But Trump versus the universities, that's another good one. So now he's going after the University of Pennsylvania because they have a guy on the swim team. You want to take a look at this? Do we have a picture of this? Tell me this isn't still a guy. Yeah, that's him right there. So Trump just took $175 million from them, which is, I think, 1/3 of what they get. I don't know. Next, he should, if they continue to do, just take all of it from him. And the women, of course, end up always coming in third, fourth, fifth. University of Pennsylvania, of course, has been on that list of top Jew-hating schools, but none exceed the one that is caving, which is Columbia. And I'd like you to know that Ted and I picked Columbia as the top school for hating Jewish people back over a year ago. And I expect some recognition of this, maybe an award of some sort. Or
well, I believe we have a short clip.
Yeah, I mean, this
of the mayor outside Columbia during the protest.
Tremendous amount of research on this, and we put it on the air, and I see no recognition of the fact that we're the ones who. Here you go.
Yep. That's the mayor. So we'll add sound for the. There must not be sound on. We'll add sound. The mayor was making some very good points here. I don't think the sound is on that one.
You can't take a class if I'm a sophomore taking history 202. I can't go inside Columbia, but the people who support Hamas can go in there, and they can't protest in favor of people who want to come here and kill us. That's the president of the university. Well, we had over that weekend, or within a day or two, we had gone up to Harvard, and we ended up with two finalists for the schools that hate the Jewish people the most, Harvard and Columbia. And we went up to Harvard, and we looked at. They were having a ceremony to talk about ending the state of Israel, defunding it, ending it, and driving it into the sea. Harvard did. But we talked to students there, and then we went to Columbia and we talked to students there and watched that. Columbia is much worse. I mean, Columbia was like inundated with it. I mean, you couldn't get on campus unless you were willing to say you hated Jews and loved the Hamas murderers, homicidal maniac murderers. And God forbid you actually knew from the ocean to the sea, or you actually knew it was you knew the names of the two bodies of water they wouldn't let you in because you were too damn smart for them. And then, of course, they burned parts of the campus, and they all went free because Soros controls the district attorney in New York, Alvin Big Fat Bragg. and they all went free. And they were back at it again. You know, this summer, they were back at it again just now. So Colombia is now going to make changes so it can get back. How much did he take from them?
Oh, gee.
65,
160, or was it 160? 160?
150.
That was UPenn, yeah.
Well, UPenn
Columbia was
60.
what?
was 60 million. But how much did he take from? He took more from Colombia.
Columbia.
Yeah, I thought it was like 165 even or something.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to get it back, and they're going to agree to his strictures and demands and the kind of review and protection he wants for Jewish students. It's a shame that has to be done by an American president. But of course, it had to be done with civil rights because they wouldn't allow black children into the schools. It had to be done by a president. And sometimes the president has to be the one to enforce morality, decency. Why would you send your kid to a school like this? Why? Well, you like that Harvard thing, that Columbia thing. It's been a phony for a long time. They're not even well educated. They're not. They spend too much time on Marxist bullshit to be well educated. So it's my opinion, save money, huh? Pick Hillsdale. We'll come up with a lot of others too. Well, let's pray for the people of Iran that they get delivered from the Ayatollah. He's not going to make a deal. Let's pray for the people of Israel, of course, once again being attacked by Hamas, but they're doing a good job of wiping them out and the Houthis and everyone else. And so is the president. And people of Ukraine, maybe we're getting closer. President's getting tough on Putin now. More arms.
Get it ready. We got to cut off.
We'll see what happens. God bless America.